Warm greetings to everyone. We'll be starting in another couple of minutes. Request all the participants to please turn on your videos and keep your audio muted at all times. And if you have any questions, if you want to ask the speaker any questions or you want to know about something, feel free to type in the chat box and we will ask your questions on behalf of you to the speaker. So feel comfortable to give the raise hand or leave a message. We'll be starting shortly. Warm greetings. Let us all stand up for Tamil Thai Valthu. To meet you all in this webinar for logistics and shipping management. So to brief you about both the institutions which are organizing this logistics and shipping webinar, I would first like to introduce AMET University, Academy of Maritime Education and Training. AMET is an educational institution which is located in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. The institute is dedicated for maritime education and training. It is one of its kind technology-oriented institute of higher education which is dedicated to maritime studies. AMET was awarded Emerging Maritime University of the Year in 2013 by Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. AMET was awarded the Best Maritime Institute in 2013 by Lloyd's List, Middle East and Indian Subcontinent. SMA rating of India rated AMET seagoing courses with grade 1. So this is a brief about AMET University. And Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute has been there for 35 years. And we run close to 50 different courses. And we are conducting various courses in collaboration with many government departments, government organizations. We are training partners for the Tamil Nadu Police Department, for the Indian military, and we are conducting training programs with more than 30 different colleges across Tamil Nadu. So this is a brief about both the institutions. So about the program, today we are all joined together to listen or to get more information about the logistics and shipping industry, what it has to offer, what are the career opportunities or job opportunities or business which is available in this particular avenue. So with that, I would like to welcome today's first guest speaker of the day, Ms. Ankita. She's a manager at supply chain at Landmark Group, UAE. She did her MBA specialization in global logistics and supply chain management. She has 8 years of experience in supply chain operations, logistics functions, and warehouse operations in IT and retail industry. She has worked in various companies like Vanity, Woolworth, and ESP Jain Global Management School. She has done many certification courses from UK, such as British English Communication, and has completed many short-term courses, Six Sigma and Quality Management. With this, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to the audience, Ms. Ankita. Ma'am, the session is yours.
Hi, Janet. Hi, Joshua.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. So yeah, just to begin with, I wanted to introduce myself once again. Yes, whatever Joshua has mentioned just now, I have vast experience in IT and retail industries, and especially in supply chain. So even when I was a part of the IT industry, I was a part of the supply chain, and towards the retail industry also, I'm a part of the supply chain. So to begin with, I just wanted to start and explain like what drove me towards supply chain. So I'm a typical South Indian. So like everybody else, the only career options that I knew was about engineering, and I did engineering in electronics and communications. Post which I actually so post which I actually joined in TCS as an consultant, IT consultant. So when I joined in TCS, I was working on a particular project in GE. I met a lot of people over there who were a part of the supply chain project which was happening there. And while interacting with them, I had like a lot of queries regarding what is happening, like why exactly are we asked to, code in a particular manner? Why exactly we need to like look at the payment terms? What exactly is driving all these changes that we are doing as a part of the IT enhancements? So when I pose these questions, the first thing that one of the mentors who was actually a part of GE, who was mentoring us in the project, so
Sorry for the inconvenience. 1 minute. Lakshman sir, could you
oops,
please check
am
your?
I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, there was some kind of disconnection in this. Okay, so I hope I mean, I don't know where I got disconnected, but let me just like rephrase it. So when I was working in TCS as a part of the IT consultancy team, I met a few mentors from GE who I was like posing a lot of questions on why exactly do we need to do this particular coding in this particular manner, what payment terms means, and all of these questions. So the answer that they gave me is this is a vast subject, so I just can't give you like mentoring over a few sessions is not possible, because supply chain is a vast subject and there are a lot of aspects to it. And that is where I grew this interest towards what supply chain is. I was very keen to understand what it is and like how it runs and what is the importance of supply chain in our lives. Then I took up MBA. I joined supply chain. When I took up MBA, supply chain was not a very famous term. So it took me a lot of efforts to find an institute which actually gave me that course, which offered that course of supply chain. And after finding that and after joining, the first class that I took with my professors, the first word that I understood about supply chain was supply chain is not just like, you know, I mean, it's a very famous definition that supply chain means like providing the right goods at the right time to in the right place. But they just told me one thing, that supply chain is everywhere. Like it's an integrated part of your life. It's everywhere. That's when you know, I was keen and I was trying to observe everything, like why. Hi Nitish, I did my MBA from SP Jain Institute of Global Management. It is a tri-country program. I studied in Dubai, then in Sydney, and then in Singapore. My voice is not audible. Is it still not?
Ma'am, you can ma'am, you can go ahead. You can leave the chat, please. You can go ahead now.
Ah,
Let
okay,
us speak.
perfect. So, so like as I told you, like I started observing where exactly is supply chain in our lives. And the most interesting part is it is everywhere. Like right beginning from you know, what you do on a daily basis, like how you get your toothpaste from morning you wake up, you get your toothpaste, right? Your brush, or where do you get these things from? And then your food, your breakfast, or even like how you manage your own home. That is also a part of the supply chain. The entire house, like you. Um, sorry. Imagine how your mother would, you know, manage the kitchen, like where you actually bring in a lot of rice, which is very famous in South India. We generally consume rice, so we buy in a lot of rice, but we have a separate tin for it. Whereas for a daily usage, we again store it in a smaller tin, and we keep using from it. So that is how your warehousing works. And similarly, like every aspect, like your transportation from one place to the other, your planning on how you go, what to consume, how much to use, everything is a part of supply chain. So that is when you understand that supply chain is like a integrated part of your life. Like you already know what supply chain is and you already know what it is. Now the only thing is how you apply it in your daily life and how you apply it to a professional life. Like your personal life, I'm sure you're already applying supply chain principles. Only thing is how you apply it in a professional life is what you know, comes into picture. Now looking at the way we order things, like there are multiple ways we shop. Like for a few items probably we go to stores and buy them, and for few things we actually are used to order online, right? And online shopping is also taking up a huge space of retail now. So when we see all these things, we understand that we are getting those things from a store or from an online platform, or sometimes you even go for click and collect, which is very famous. So like whenever you go through any of these aspects, you understand like you are getting it. Uh, Physically, you are going and getting that item, but how did it come to that place first? It has been manufactured somewhere else. Now, of course, Made in India is being a very famous slogan. But globally, if you observe, there are a lot of things that have been produced in a different country, being transported to a different country. From there, you hold in a country, but when you order from a different country, it will be shipped to that country. So a single product, be it a toothpaste, be it a soap, or you know, any item in your life, it is going through a lot of journey to reach you, which is what makes supply chain such a fascinating thing, right? So, and when I say supply chain, it is not basically only logistics. Supply chain is far more bigger than only logistics. Logistics is just one part of it. For example, in a company, in a retail company, there would be buyers who would actually plan and buy the products to which needed in the stores, which interests the customers. This is one part of supply chain. And then once these buyers buy the products, then we have a planning team who would mention like how many products should be arriving to the country or to the location or to a warehouse. There is again a warehousing team, the operations team basically, who manage how how the goods come in, where to store, how long to store, and how to like send it to the stores. And then we have another wing which plans the push to the stores. So whenever we have some goods in the warehouse, how much quantity should go to one store, how much quantity should go to the other store, based on the customer behavior. And also this is also a part of the supply chain. And then we have infrastructure, the automation, the digitization. So once we start getting into it, we understand that there is no limit for supply chain. The opportunities are huge. Like for me, when I was a part of the IT team, I was wondering like how would I fit into a supply chain, supply chain division. But then when I actually entered here, I understood that there are like a lot of projects which actually need IT support. So the knowledge that I gained from my previous experience is actually implemented here. Like I worked on ERP system implementation. Now I started implementing those ERP systems into retail business, and then also on extension of that, not merely implementing an ERP system, but also enhancing it with automation, warehouse automation, conveyor systems, the warehouse management systems. How do we introduce an external vendor with an automation solution? How do we integrate automation solution into the existing WM systems or the warehouse management systems that we have, or the tour management systems that we have? So as I again, I'm reiterating this multiple times, but my main focus is that supply chain is not a very small subject to be defined in one line. It is actually everything that we see. And as I told you, since the world is going so fast, like when we are talking about online shopping and all, everybody wants that delivery to be done within a day, or maybe within an hour also sometimes. Yes, sometimes you forget the gifts and then you want to order online, and then you want the gift to arrive immediately, even much before we get to that place, right? Our expectations, consumer expectations, we are also consumers, we are also on the other part of the table, we play that dual role. So as a part of the consumer behavior, we are expecting that accuracy. You don't want wrong deliveries, right? So the accuracy, as well as the fastest delivery lead times and all of that. So when we talk about all this, when you talk about all these giants like Flipkart, Myntra, or Amazon, all these companies are not merely working in one part of the world. So when I talk about Amazon, everybody knows here what Amazon is. Like Amazon like works in different parts of the world. But when it comes to Flipkart or Myntra, you might feel that okay, this is just a local company which is like working only in India. But no, like they source, like let us say the raw materials which are sourced from somewhere else, right? So the interesting part is that everything that we own or everything that we do is now a global thing. It is not a local thing. So when you get involved, when you get yourself involved in supply chain, what happens is you're actually interacting with with a larger piece of the world, not only your own country or your own village or your own town or whatever it is. Yes, and the opportunities, for example, in Middle East, if I talk about, we have UAE especially. In Middle East, UAE plays a very vital role because, in fact, the entire Middle East plays a very vital role in supply chain because it's the hub. So when you think about the countries like India, Bangladesh, or China, who actually produce a lot of raw materials in the sense like the cotton which is needed for all the apparels, or in fact lower labor costs and everything. So basically the goods made in maybe China or India or Bangladesh or Pakistan, what happens is if it has to be transported to the other parts of the world like Europe or US, the midway is either Singapore or Middle East. So this is the biggest hub. So it acts as a hub which connects the eastern and western parts of the world. And that is why here we have lots and lots of companies, especially like all the MNCs which work on the logistics part, like DHL, Aramex, and all that. And then we also have the retail companies like Amazon, Landmark, and all, which are of like prime importance. And we do like shipping and everything from like Middle East to all the different countries across the world. And apart from that, apart from being the supply chain nerve center, UAE itself offers lot more. Once UAE, the government has understood what exactly is the importance of supply chain, they have also, introduced this as a concept. Uh, we have Expo 2020, which is very famous. I think everybody knows. But of course, unfortunately, due to the current situation, Expo 2020 has shifted to the next year. So now we need to call it as Expo 2021. Expo 2021 is basically trying to open a doorway for all the countries across the world and all the people across the world to enter into UAE, establish their own businesses, because this is a hub. You know what kind of opportunities will be available here, where you can actually like connect the east and west. So here, this is the center part of the world where you can actually, uh, use it as a what do I say? As a node, which actually helps you in reducing your cost. But I'm sorry, Joshua, are you saying something? You're on mute.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah, sorry. As I said, this is the central node of the entire world, and this holds the the potential for supply chain teams, especially all the supply chain teams. When I say supply chain, as I told you, like there are multiple divisions under supply chain, be it planning, forecasting, or your infrastructure or automation or digitization. Blockchain especially has gained a lot of prominence over the past few years, because it's basically like paperless transactions now. As a part of you can imagine the kind of goods inflow and outflow through UAE. When that happens, you can imagine like what kind of paper transactions that we do. Like there are like a lot of paperwork which is involved only in this transactions. Just like some goods have come, part of the goods are going out and the remaining parts are staying here, then they go at a later point of time, you have an audit for all of this. So there's a lot of paperwork involved. Just to avoid that and ensure like quickest possible lead time from this part of the inflow to the outflow. Blockchain is something that has gained prominence over the last few years. And like as I told you, like once we start exploring the opportunities, there are huge number of opportunities when we talk about supply chain. And it is based, supply chain is one field where I think probably you get your opportunity to understand what is your strength, what is your personal strength. As I said, like I was an IT engineer, so I was quite interested in the IT part, so I'm working on the automation part. Like probably you're very good at planning, you will be able to like work on forecasting and the other parts. Or if you're very good at managing certain things, maybe like, and you will be able to manage the operations on a daily level. So it's for everybody. It's for everybody. That is what I have to say about supply chain. And yeah, I mean, if you have any queries, I think it's time we open up, and then probably we'll lead it that way.
Ma'am, few questions. Do you think if someone has to get into the logistics or the supply chain or shipping industry, do you think they have to be skilled? Do you think they have to undergo sufficient training before they can get a job in the particular industry?
I would totally recommend that, because see, as I told you, it is the skill set is there within everybody, but how do you mold that skill set to apply to a professional life? Like mm, only with an IT engineering knowledge, probably I wouldn't have been able to work out on integrating multiple systems. but I need to understand what is the operation behind it, how it runs, what exactly it means. Because without knowing that, if I integrate something and it goes wrong, that is going to stop a lot of people from having their own food, right? I'm just putting it in that words.
So, who could come into the field, ma'am? Like, can an engineering graduate then come back and do maybe a kind of a MBA in this and come into it, or should they have something else in their UG degree as well, or is there any age category or something that you would recommend, ma'am?
See, anybody can actually get into supply chain. As I mentioned earlier, that I myself have done my engineering, and after which I have joined into MBA in supply chain because of the interest that I have. But that doesn't stop you from, getting a graduation and then getting into supply chain. Probably you might have some PG diploma courses also in supply chain that you can look into. And going forward, I think like supply chain should be a subject which needs to be like one of our it should be a basic for even any graduation, in fact.
How big is the operations of the logistics, supply chain, and shipping industry in UAE, ma'am?
In UAE, so UAE, in fact, if I have to tell you, like supply chain actually contributes to around 7.5% of the GDP here. And the growth rate is also very good because, as I told you, like Expo 2020 in place, the kind of opportunities that we have in UAE for supply chain is quite high. Even for building, construction of a building itself, you need to procure material from multiple locations and bring it to one place and get that project done. So again, after that, it goes to project management. But when you talk about this, when you don't know the complexity of this, you might just feel that, okay, it's a building, like it has been happening for quite many years. You get sand, you get like gravel, and you get cement, and you just like build it. It's very easy. But when you actually get into the intricacies, finding like, oh, you get from these many places. It's just the way that we start respecting a farmer once we understand like what they go through just to give us our daily food, right? It's the same way.
Ma'am, thank you very much for taking your time off and joining us from UAE and sharing your valuable thoughts and inputs about the logistics and shipping industry. So, on behalf of Ahmed University and TATI, we will be thank you for taking part in this program.
Thank you so much, Joshua.
It now gives me immense pleasure to welcome the next guest speaker of today's program. So he is H.S. Prem Kumar. He's a professor at Ahmed University. He has graduated and has done his master's in public administration. He has more than 30 years of experience in the shipping field. He started his career in Kakinada and then worked in Seiko agents for American President Lines. And after that, he did his ISO 9001 and 2008 series at lead auditors training at Lloyd's Register of Quality and Assurance, Bombay. And he joined Ahmed after that and is a keynote speaker related to logistics and shipping management and and speaks at various platforms globally. Sir, it gives us immense pleasure to have you with us today, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Joshua.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yeah. Yes, as you spend a lot of years in a particular field, you can see my gray hairs. I've put in a lot of effort to understand logistics and shipping. Historically, shipping has been described as something, a movement of goods from port to port. And logistic was not a part of this word. The word was not being used. Now, after hearing Ankita Murthy, most of the viewers would have now got an idea as to what are we talking about. See, these two good terms, like, it's become very popular, logistics and shipping and supply chain. They seem very new, but actually it is not. It has been happening throughout as long as man started moving goods to sell into the market at the neighboring village or neighboring town. So it's all there. I mean, very beautifully put by Ankita. Thank you very much. So that has prepared a ground for this. And before I actually begin, I must thank Joshua and TTI and Ahmed University for giving me this opportunity to take this further. Right. And before I begin in right earnest, I would like to share another anecdote which happened in my class. I was dealing with the same subject what Ms. Ankita was explaining just now. She said how everything comes to you not by magic, but somebody is doing something, somewhere some effort has been put. Somehow the things that we need are brought to the place, right? For example, if your coffee is not ready in the morning, I mean, none of the work gets started, right? For me, at least. So when I was taking this class, I had a student who came up to me, sir, I have a question. A very concerned student, right? He said, sir, I have a very big question. I said, what? See, I'm doing this course in shipping and logistics, and then now I hear that 3D, manufacturing has come into existence. You just take a printout and then you start using those parts. Will this replace the study which I'm doing, and will we have jobs in future after I finish my course? A very interesting question, but then I told them, look, as long as we are alive, as long as you want things to move from one place to another, as long as there is a supply and a demand, right? Logistics and shipping industry is not going to go nowhere. I mean, maybe 3D will, substitute some parts of the components that are required in an emergency, yes. But on a large scale, I don't think 3D can sustain that kind of. Maybe, a lot of science fiction has become reality. Maybe then science fiction, today's science fiction, tomorrow's reality, possible. Not now, not in the next 30 years, not in the next 50 years, maybe not in the next 100 years also. Yeah, so don't worry. I told them not to worry about this one, right? And do your course, understand the processes, and you will be able to secure a job as soon as you finish. And because all these things that we were talking about, I told you there is somebody who is doing it. It's not magic. Somebody who has to make sure that things are happening. Somebody who has got the expertise in moving goods. Somebody who is operationally has a sound knowledge to get the things moving. Somebody who is giving the IT support, right? The whole range of things. The whole things as like integrated together, and they need people. Without people, nothing is going to happen. Now, if you talk about a big company, where you talk about Walmart, you talk about APL, where I worked, and we talk about any companies like Amazon, what are they? It's just a name board, and just put up a name board and things start working? No. People are working there. People who have got the expertise, people who have got the involvement, people who have got the dedication, people who are day in and day out working on moving things. Yeah, and that's what logistics and shipping is about. Logistics and shipping is a very vast subject, and add supply chain to it. I'll make a distinct difference between the supply chain and the shipping and logistics. For students who are interested in this, because I, being a teacher, always feel that I should give them the processes. Logistics is movement from place A to place B, movement of cargo from one place to another, fine. You may use any kind of mode today. You may use a rail, you may use air, you may use sea, any mode of transport, yes, by roadways. And Now, supply chain is slightly even more complex, right? Supply chain takes care of something more than what logistics. Logistic takes care of something which is manufactured and it has to be moved, right? And shipping takes care of the sea leg when it has to cross the oceans. Yes. Now, supply chain is a larger area, more comprehensive, where even this raw material that has to be supplied for the manufacture of the goods, which is going to be shipped to the places where it is required, is what supply chain does. Supply chain makes sure that you source the material properly. You make sure that that raw material reaches the place of manufacture, and then in the manufacturing process takes place, and after that the logistics end. So we are working backwards basically, right? If you look at my history, my study was basically I did shipping, and from shipping I moved on to logistics. Now from logistics I'm moving back to understanding supply chain. So basically that's how it works. I'm sure people who are interested in making this a career is thrown open. The entire world is yours. Yeah. And just before doing a little bit of I was doing a little bit of study on this thing, and Joshua was mentioning that can you give me the scope of logistics and shipping? What is the potential of this particular field? Can people make their careers out of this? The answer is yes. People can make careers out of this. And let me tell you, India's GDP, I have to read out some of these details that I've collected, because otherwise, I don't want to give you wrong numbers, right? So I'm always like, I prepare myself for some numbers. Very bad with numbers. GDP is expected to reach 3 trillion in 2020. Yeah, that's the dream. Okay, change it to 2021, representing about 4% of the global GDP, out of which the manufacturing holds about 20 to 25% to 30% of GDP potential by 2025. Right? I was reading a study on this one. The logistic market is poised to grow at a CAGR. I'll explain what CAGR is. I don't want to use too many words which are not understandable by common. 10% between 2020 and 2025. Yeah. Compound annual growth rate is what CAGR. People who are making this study, making a study of logistics, study of shipping and supply chain, they all work on data, information. That means IT comes into the picture. Information technology has revolutionized the shipping industry. From what I saw 30, 40 years ago, right? 33 years in shipping operations and then 10, 11 years of teaching. IT industry has become the backbone of any industry, including shipping and logistics and all sort of transports. And then e-commerce. We are talking about e-commerce. E-commerce is definitely there. You're not going to change. Yeah. And today, even if we talk about COVID-19 situation and then it's so difficult to get things out, e-commerce is helping us out in getting the deliveries in time and all these things. And that is going to contribute a large portion of the growth, logistics and supply chain and shipping growth. Port sector. Now, when we talk about shipping and logistics, we need to understand a lot of other things also. Right? It is not only movement of goods by different modes of transport. These are places where the exchange takes place. Port, for instance, the seaports, the railway hub, where the freight train brings in cargo and then it is changed into another mode of transport. So again, railways. And then you have setting up of distribution network, logistic distribution network, container freight stations, all this again, another cluster. So these are all the the components of logistics and shipping, and warehousing and distribution is another one. Warehousing is just keeping some things in some safe place and then taking it whenever you want it. But then distribution is again a value added service, which most of the warehousing companies give. Right? Labeling and then barcoding and all those kind of stuff, because the right thing has to go to the right place. The bottom line is, when the customer wants, I always tell my students this story, people who will understand this. When I go to a restaurant, I order a masala dosa, it must be a masala dosa, right? Not a sada dosa. I refuse it. So basically, when a customer makes a demand, when a customer wants something, it has to be there at the right time and the right product. So taking all this into consideration, and then a dedicated freight corridor, right? Unless you have that kind of a dedicated freight corridors, these things do not fall in place, right? Then the Indian logistic sector is currently at $160 billion worth. So by another 5 years, we're looking at, it's going to be $315 billion. So logistic management has been an increasingly interesting topic for not only the practitioners, people who are in the business of logistics or shipping. It is for academicians also. Right? Academicians are also getting interested in this to find out the methods to understand the requirements of the people, requirement of the customer, and make sure that things happen the way we want it, right? And you'll be surprised. So much of potential is there. So much of people are working, and you will be surprised to note. I mean, I was also surprised. In fact, when I read the note, read the report, out of the whole logistics and shipping, only 10 to 15% is in the organized sector. Would you believe it? It's in the organized sector, which means the rest of it is unorganized. You and me can become a logistics service provider, LSP, right? Anyone can become. Anyone want to become an entrepreneur? I want to be an entrepreneur, sir. Yeah, please go ahead. But only thing is, you need to know who wants your services, what can you do, and what are your strengths, how can you deliver. Yeah, and you become an LSP, right? So imagine about 85% is there open for making you a professional and getting it into an organized sector, and making that into an organized sector. So imagine, I mean, the world is open to you. Like I told you in the beginning, the world is open to you when you talk about getting into this kind of a profession. Because I told you, as long as people want things moving, as long as people want deliveries on time, as long as there is a demand for a certain product, shipping and logistics is not going to die. Right? Nobody is going to say stop, okay, enough of shipping and logistics. There is no more business for you. No, it doesn't happen that way. Okay, now the academicians and the practitioners are strongly working on reducing the costs. I think very nicely, Ankita also mentioned this. She said reducing the cost, which is one of the most important factors for any product to sell. Yeah, any product to sell, if the cost of the material is 50 rupees and my cost of transportation and other services is going to be another 50 rupees, I rather not buy it, right? When the cost is only 50 rupees, right? So basically, it is increased cost, high cost of operation. Yeah, these are some of the points that people are working on, always, yeah, always trying to reduce the cost. Low margins. That's very important. Anyone who wants to work, yeah, they have to work on their reputation, right? A good reputation, and then you get more business, and more business, low margins. Yeah. So low margins. I wish to underline this particular point. Shortage of talent. shortage of talent. That means we need to develop this talent. We need people who have got the aptitude. We need people who are capable of doing it but don't know what to do. Right? So shortage of talent is what we need to capitalize on to make this industry a more efficient industry, or more what do you call? You get the deliverables in good state. You need to increase the people skills, improve their skills, improve their talents. Yeah. Then of course you have the other things like the infrastructural bottlenecks, and then I mean we used to always say that deliveries have been affected because there is the roads are not enough, the rail service has been disrupted, and all these things are impediments, like challenges what we talk about. And then of course the present government has taken great initiatives in changing all these things and making sure that there are opportunities available. Make use of it, right? Get people to, and that's what the Prime Minister's favorite new word is called Atmanirbhar. That means be self-reliant, be on your own, right? Now that's again a different story altogether, because I cannot say I can be totally Atmanirbhar, right? I need somebody to help me out. Okay, but self-reliance, right? So changing government policies in taxation and regulation of on regulations of the service providers, and then of course will play definitely an important role. And India was a 54th place in the global logistics. I'm reading it out again. Logistics performance in 2014, and then we moved to 35th place. We moved to 35th place. So therefore, you know that there is a lot of potential for us. We have been doing well. There is a lot of opportunity available for youngsters to get into this field and make things happen. So I strongly believe that this is an area of business opportunities, of learning experiences, of development and growth for our country. Thank you, Joshua. Is there anything else that?
Sir, a couple of quick questions to you, sir.
Sure.
Sir, many industries, if you take the IT industry or maybe even the education sector, many industries have been badly affected because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. Do you think, sir, logistics or shipping sector will go down because of the pandemic? Your opinion on that, sir?
Yeah, definitely. There has been a lot of impact of this pandemic on almost every industry. I can't say no, there was no impact at all. So when the movement starts to be retarded, when there is no one buying or no one selling, then you do have a little bit of lag in your system, but it's not going to be shut down completely. You cannot. Today, this logistic and shipping industry is not only catering to the consumer industry. People, I know, like what Ankita was saying, toothpaste to hair oils to everything, but medical supplies. And all this requires somebody to keep the things moving. I mean, if you don't have people say, no, I'm not going to go out because of the pandemic, everybody is going to die.
So what, according to you, are the key competency skill set required for logistic professionals, sir?
That's a very interesting question. Yeah. See, basically, it is a customer service. Yeah. Underlying feature of all this service. There are only two things in business. I don't know if there's any third business to this. One is manufacturing. Manufacture as per customer's requirement. Right. That is why people say that, including Gandhiji has said, customer is the king. Right. And the other one is the service sector. Now we belong to the service sector. And when you belong to the service sector, the perception, the level of customer service is a perception. Right? So people need to understand what the customer wants, understand and respond to it in an appropriate manner, in a timely manner. and that will definitely raise your level of customer satisfaction. Right? People who are have got this intention to help somebody out. Right? It's not that, okay, if you want to buy it, otherwise you forget it. Leave me alone. No, that kind of thing is not going to happen. A service which is dedicated to the customer, a service which can bring in a smile on the customer is what everybody is looking at, right? And a timely service, all these things, if you are ready to do it, there's no time, right? There's no time frame. There is no, not they say, not leaving any stone unturned. Yeah, you have to make sure that things happen so that the customer is satisfied and he comes back to you, right? Customer satisfaction, customer relationship, customer retaining, all these things are part of this customer, I mean, the logistics and shipping. Yeah. Now, unless you have that, it's not a one-time business. Not that one customer comes and goes and then your business is finished. You have to maintain this relationship with the customer. If you have got that in you, any student, any person, anyone, I call them cog in the wheel. Every person who is working in an organization is a cog in the wheel who make the machinery work. Right? Just if you want to move smoothly, everybody should work. Correct? If one cog in the wheel is not working, and everything comes to a standstill. Right? So people should be able to develop that kind of a attitude to help people to see that the urgency. Yeah. Before I close, I'd like to tell you one more thing on logistics and shipping. Many a times I ask my students the question. Yeah, we have learned a lot from the armed forces. From the armed forces, I mean the Army, Navy, Air Force, and all these armed forces. And I asked my students, okay, what is the similarity between logistics and shipping and, of course, supply chain added, and the armed forces working, people who work with the armed forces. Many a times people are not able to explain to me. Many a times we don't get the right answer. Right. Now, I tell them, I explain to them, like if there is a battle being fought in a front, right? And arms, ammunition, food, material, everything has to go and reach that place in time. Otherwise, the battle is lost. Army marches on the stomach, right? And if it doesn't happen, you've lost the battle. So same thing happens here in shipping and logistics. The customer is on fire. The customer has got a commitment he has made with his customer overseas, and unless things happen in time, the shipment takes place in time, and the cargo reaches the destination in time, you lost the business, right? So that is what I wanted to explain. The urgency of any shipping and logistic person, yeah, is this. That they have to meet that requirement, to have to expedite the movement. Yeah. In fact, there is a logistic company which is called Expeditors. Basically do expediting. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable inputs about logistic,
Yeah.
supply chain, shipping, and you've explained very patiently about the difference and all that, and how India works, where India is going to lead into the future of logistics and shipping, sir. So, thank
Yeah.
you very much for sharing your valuable thoughts and being with us today, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity, Joshua. Sati has done a great job. I thank Amit once again for nominating me as a panelist. Thank you.
Thank you. It now gives me immense pleasure to introduce the next speaker of today's program. He is joining us from Morocco. He is Sri Mustafa Kaheti. He's a research scholar in logistics and international trade. He is director for outreach for Exodesia Research Center. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you and have you with us for today's program, sir. Sir, you can go ahead, sir. You can start, sir.
So I'm very happy to be with you today's workshop, which concerns the logistic sector. Thank you for this invitation, and thanks to our professor. Thank you for Professor Promo Kumar, Ankita Madam. Thank you, and finally, I am very happy to be with you today. So then we have introduction, nature of job, advantage of prospects in industry, job opportunities, salary package, MBA, AMIT University, conclusion. So logistic. Currently, no one can deny that logistic, especially marine logistic, is among the most important strategic for all company. So it's very important for any company to develop the strategy in logistics. The nature of job. Coordination and monitoring supply chain operation, ensuring permission and communication are used effectively. Utilizing logistic and for ET information technology to optimize shipping and transport producer. Optimizing the management of the content in data stream, supply chain management en français, on dit ce qu'on appelle la gestion de la logistique globale, ce qui permet de coordonner l'ensemble des départements de l'entreprise. Data stream, master the challenge of various logistic chains, ensure the contraction authority of projects and carry it out. The advantage. The logistic in particular has seen a revolution over the last 20 years. It's now a place where you can gain general management experience in leading. The technology use your skills of innovation and develop the people management and leadership capability. For the salary package, so I have the schema, for example, I can say that for one experience, we have 272,000 rupees for 1 year's experience. The experience between 1 year and 4 years, we have 391,000 rupees. For 5 years and 9 years experience, we have 610,000 rupees. But for 10 years and 90 years, we have 890,000 rupees. For example, we have over 20 years for experience. We have 850,000 rupees is the experience level for logistics managers, so from India. So for the MBA of AMIT University, so the AMIT University is one of the important university in India. So I can say that for I invited you to visit the university website. We have more information for programs, for courses. So MBA shipping logistic management, 2 years eligibility. So this information is invited you to visit the university website, and finally I can share with you this presentation. Okay, the mode of selection, we have a lot of criteria, but this information I invited you to visit the university website. The program, we have program educational objective. We have a lot of programs. So we have program specific objectives. So list of courses for the program. PA Amit University. For example, we have global maritime business, we have accounting of managers, we have advanced quantitative techniques, we have maritime economic, managerial communication, global marketing management, managing people organization, information technology management. We have ship management, commercial geography, human research development, linear shipping business, port operation and operation, international trade relation. Because we have the relation between logistic and trade, international trade. So the logistic can facilitate international trade to develop the relation between our markets in the world. So it's with the global. We have industrialization.
I think, sorry, we are, unfortunately, we are having some technical issues. So we'll go ahead with our next speaker. It gives me great pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Ravindran Ramasamy, sir. He's a professor, Graduate School of Business from University of Tun Abdul Razak, Malaysia. He has graduated and has finished his MCom, MPhil, MBA, PhD, and he has more than 40 years of experience in UG teaching and PG teaching. His specialization in tax laws, statistics, foreign exchange, logistics and shipping management. He has published more than 50 papers, research papers, and has conducted 15 workshops in various concepts. He has received many awards such as Excellent Research Supervisor by UNITAM, third rank in world in CIMA in financial accounting, and is a renowned keynote speaker across the globe. Sir, it gives us great pleasure to have you with us today, sir.
Good evening to all. Thank you, Joshua. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Okay. Welcome to this session. I must thank Amit and TATTI for giving me this opportunity to talk to the potential candidates for logistics and supply chain management. Okay, now let us go to the topic straight away. Now the companies are manufacturing, as the earlier speakers addressed, that the cost of production should be reduced drastically. Everywhere the cost they are speaking about. Why? Because you cannot increase the selling price. Selling price increase is ruled out. Why? Because the customers are not willing to pay anything more than that. So we have to reduce the cost. What are the areas we can reduce the cost? So first thing, they touch on inventories. Inventories are to be stored in the storeroom and then to be supplied to the production or factory in time. In those days, it's a classical transaction, or traditionally they were doing like that. But now at present, everything has changed. Now they are going for just-in-time inventory. The storeroom is a non-value adding item. Storing is non-value adding. So completely the stores should be removed. So there should be no storekeeper, there should be no storage cost, no rent, this and that, everything. So the supplier has to supply the material just in time, JIT, just in time inventory. So just in time inventory is being adopted and the storeroom is done away with. And moreover, this everything should be coming in time at cheaper cost. So right quantity, right quality, right time, just in time. So everything, if it comes like that, the cost of production is coming down by 20%, the many research studies prove. So like this, the industry is changing towards the no inventory levels, zero inventory levels. So whatever we traditionally study, the LIFO, FIFO, then average stock, then this transportation cost minimization, all those things have gone. Now supplier has to supply the material in the company at the right time. So this is the supply chain management is the prime aim, but prime objective of supply chain management. So in Malaysia is a small country when compared to India. I will show you the details so that you can understand what they are doing. Now let me show the file for you. I'll share the screen sharing. And here, logistics, chapter 2, share. Can you see, Joshua?
Yes, sir.
Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is viewable, sir.
So logistics. Economic performance. See, Malaysia is approximately $1 trillion. So out of that, see, this Malaysian Global Competitive report is telling the infrastructure on the country's logistic competitiveness is as follows. Logistics competitiveness. The quality of overall infrastructure, the score rank is 20 in the world. And then quality of roads, 19 in the world. Quality of railroad infrastructure, 12 in the world. Quality of port infrastructure, 19 in the world. Quality of air transport infrastructure, 19 in the world. So these are all the 4 or 5 areas where any country will be improving to bring the goods and services or goods in time to the factories and also to take away the finished goods from the factory. So Malaysia is ranked 25th out of 160 countries. I think just now Professor was telling that India is ranked as 39th or 35th, something he was telling. So here see 25th out of 160 countries. So they have very good infrastructure in all the 4 areas, roads, railroads, and then port and the air transport. The total freight volume transported by sea, this is 6 year back data because I was searching for the new data, I could not get it. 98.4% was transported through shipping. The annual growth rate in over the last 10 years, 6 years back, for sea freight volume was 5.4%. It's growing like that in the compounded growth. Rail cargo, blah, 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 all these things. Number of ships arrival in Malaysian ports has shown the downward trend where the value has decreased from 33%. So some declining is there in the Malaysian shipping. And the Malaysia top 5 export destinations were Singapore, these countries. Top 5 import countries, China, Singapore, Japan, USA, Thailand, so neighboring countries. So introduction, logistics, the drivers of growth of the economy, this blah, blah, they are talking. Logistic, crucial contributor to Malaysia's trade and economic growth. Malaysian government has allocated 3 billion to simulate the development of logistic industry. Malaysian economic competitiveness. Malaysia has a population of 31 million approximately and the 44th most populated country in the world. So this country, when the population is more, the demand is more. When the demand is more, we have to bring in lot of goods to fulfill their needs. So these are all the competitive rankings. The world ranking is like this. The global competitiveness report is giving Malaysia like this. So all these things you can see yourself. According to the Economic Intelligence Unit's report 2014, because I don't get the recent data, Malaysia is among the top 20 friendliest countries in the world to do business. And then according to the Economic Intelligence Unit, it is forecasted that the market opportunities will improve in the future amid sustained economic growth and relatively strong external demand. So these are all the expectations. So here 7.14% or we have Malaysia Business Environment ranking. Malaysia top 5 LPI ranking countries. So the Malaysia is coming here among these regional countries. I mean Singapore, United Kingdom, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany. But Malaysia is a little bit bigger when compared to these countries. But Germany will be bigger than Malaysia. But still, the Malaysian LPI ranking is coming like this. Malaysian economy, they are talking about. This is the forecasted GDP in the current rate. It will be forecasted to touch 600 billion US dollars in 2019. And already it has gone. And then GDP, all these things are not necessary for you. And then when we go down, these are all the importing countries. These are all the exporting countries. Vietnam, all these things are coming, import, export, trade industries. I wanted to show you page number 23. I think this one. This is the sea mode. In the sea mode, sea transportation has always been important feature in Malaysian logistics, as the country has been the major sea trade route. You know Malacca Strait. Malacca Strait is separating the Sumatra Island from the Malay Peninsula, and all the world shipping is done through Malacca Straits only. Malacca Straits is very shorter distance when compared to going around Sumatra. So Malacca Strait will be always kept busy, very busy, and also it will be guarded very carefully, and it is actually the army and all, they're taking care of that lane. Something goes wrong in the lane, then the transportation cost will be very high, and also the time it will take more. So they are very careful about this. So this is the coastline of the Malaysia. So almost 7,200 kilometers. The 20th rank, all these things are coming. So here. And then the Malaysia freight volume transported, see this, by air, the blue color is representing air, only 1/4, 1/6 or 1/7 only transported by this one. The rail transport is there. Sea transport is going far ahead. So like this. Here, container port traffic. See, 2008, 16 million containers they were handling, but 2013, see, 16 to 21 million, 6 million containers they have increased. But in another 5-6 years, they might have touched by 30 million tons of containers. Imagine how much containers will be coming, and it will be transported again like this. Land mode is here very simple because the land kilometers are very less. Why? Because Malaysia is a small country. That's why. The roadways also, so many kilometers are there. They have given the data. And then here, lorry operators, licensed drivers, all these things are there. Air mode is there. The air mode, airports, 114 airports for the small country. Comparison in the world, 51 ranking, and airports with paved runways 39, paved runways 8, like that they are given. So here, so many data they are giving. So what they want to emphasize is this logistic industry is the main industry which is bringing and taking away the finished product, bringing the raw materials and taking away the finished product to the world destinations. Malaysia plays a very crucial role, not only in the shipping, but also in the air connectivity. See Malaysia performance in liner shipping connectivity index. See this. So increasing steadily. So every day, Malaysia plays a very important role in the logistic industry. This is one information. The other information what the government is doing is given here like this. The Logistic Trade and Facilitation Master Plan performance report for 2016, they are giving like this. So enhancing efficiency, import and export processes, then regulating warehouse, off-dock depots and development. So many things are there. Phase 2, phase 3, like that, they are dividing them into like our 5-year plans. They plan it and they execute it. So here, I want to show you the training facilities which are available here. See here, page, I think Malaysia's Logistic Performance Index. So 2014-16, see this, customers and border clearance efficiency, formerly 27, but now it has gone to the 40th ranking. Trade transport facility, 33rd, and competitively priced international shipments, 32. So logistically, so all these industries you can join some job. Actually, the foreign talent is required here very much. So whoever completes the logistics course, they can try here. So see, debottlenecking, performance of action 2016 is given like this. And then MOT champion logistics. So this is the one. Ministry of Training, Ministry of Transport, MOT, they are doing like this. So everything they put it in writing and they implement and they oversee or they audit whether they have achieved it or not. Like that they are doing. So infrastructure, freight demand, facilitation, human capital development. I'll show you what the human capital they are doing here. This is Port Klang area. This is the completed projects at Bandar Sultan Sulaiman North Port Gate 2. They are improving. This is what they are showing here. And I will show you the university what they are doing. Approved higher axle loads, Peninsula Malaysia. This is lorry transport they are talking about. Streamlining licensing and air freight processes and procedures. Commercial vehicles license they are given. Dangerous goods permit for air freight service, landing permits for chartered flights. So all these things they are facilitating. And I'll show you the industry where they are training the students. Here, this is what. Enhancing capabilities of logistics service providers. So local public universities, private universities, community colleges, polytechnics offers various types of courses and programs in logistics from certificate to PhD levels. 2015 data only I am giving. Now imagine now 2020. There were 4,592 registered students, 9,173 enrolled students studying, and 2,470 graduates in various logistics courses. In addition, Human Resource Development Fund and at the Ministry of Human Resources has provided 745 students financial assistance. Training place in 2005, financial assistance. This is $1 million. Logistics, this is the training placements, 4,787. See, in the next year, it is increased to 5,541. Financial assistance is also given. So the port management, maritime management, aviation management, logistics management, like that they classify. The students are trained here. The master plan will continue and the students are trained. Actually, this is inadequate strength actually. So they take in a lot of foreigners. Say, I am also foreigner, I am an expatriate from India and I am working here. So like this, here a lot of opportunities are here. And here, this is the shipping agent too. These are all the jobs which are available. Shipping liner, arrival, unloading, transportation, hauler, boarding, bonded warehouse, importer, all these things, blah, blah, blah. providing green initiative report support. So what they are doing, safety of dangerous goods act at ports, they have passed one law. And here, way forward they have given. So like this. So a lot of opportunities are here. You can see the landscape and the shipping lane here. First, Penang port. This is port of Penang. And then Limur port. And then this is Port Klang. This is the nearer to Kuala Lumpur. And then here Kuala Lingi port, and then Malacca port, and then here they have developed in Johor Bahru. This is very near to Singapore. Singapore main problem is land and the traffic container, the traffic jam. So they developed here one port called PTP port, and now it's giving very good competition to Singapore. And in the eastern coast side, there is again another 2 ports are there here. And apart from that, this is called Eastern Malaysia, that's Borneo Island. So Borneo Island, so many shipping ports are there. So a lot of jobs you can get. Moreover, in Malaysia, the major export is oil and petroleum gas, petroleum, oil, petroleum and oil, and then palm oil, and then the furniture, timber also they are exporting. A lot of timber they are exporting. So here somewhere the data is given. So like this, the opportunities are very, very large in Malaysia, especially for expatriates, foreigners. Why? Because the local talent pool is unable to supply the demand required. Though the ministry is training and giving scholarships, you can see 30 million people are there, only 11,437 people are trained. Here 11,745 people are trained in various degrees. So that is why they are giving a lot of scholarships to train the people. So we can fill up the gap. Suppose if you are in the logistic industry, you can come here and you can work. What is the salary range in this industry? See, the salary ranges are like this. This is the salary range. What is that salary? I think it is salary. Unfortunately, it is not working. Wait a minute, because I was keeping this for a long time, so it is not working. So I will type the salary range. Salary range or logistic industry. So logistic industry salary range you can see here. See this 53,391 is in the average salary range per annum, average salary. So if you multiply by 18 ringgits, now one ringgit equal to 18 rupees. So 5 times 18, you can see this 900,000 will be coming per annum. So logistics coordinator is getting 38K. 38K means around 3,200 per month. Software engineer 42K. This is average salary, not the highest salary, but average salary. And then project manager, unspecified type, general type, 115K. So these are all the salary ranges paid to the people who are working in the logistic industry. If you click here, more subdivisions will be coming. Logistic coordinator, see here. So many items are coming actually. What they have to do. So 3,600 to 3,700 they will be getting. And then another website also I saw that. Another website. Open another website. Logistics manager salary in Malaysia. And your pay report. So this is not going. So 73,000 Malaysian salary, 73 times 18 multiplied. So like this, huge salary is available here. logistics coordinator salary in Malaysia. 34,000 and odd is visible. You can browse these things yourself. How much does a person in Malaysia earn? Logistics jobs, what are the logistics jobs are available, salary ranges. So there are 560 jobs in logistics category. Average salaries can range from 29,000 to 265,000. Salary ranges can differ significantly depending upon the job. So logistic manager average salary here 4,190. So like this it's given. You multiply because the exchange rate is 18. Okay. In the logistic industry, what are the things which are taking place? As the first speaker advised, the blockchain is coming, cryptocurrency is coming now into the picture. Cryptocurrency, that is digital currency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all coming. So the blockchain is gaining importance. The blockchain, when it gains importance, what is the importance of blockchain? Blockchain, there are two advantages in the blockchain. The blockchain, first advantage, it is transferring cryptocurrency efficiently without any intermediary. If you bring the bank is an intermediary, and the banks take some 6% to 7% commission while changing the currencies from home currency to foreign currency to home currency. So that cost can be cut if you transfer the money through cryptocurrency or digital currency through blockchain, number one. Number two, blockchain this distributed system, in everybody can find where the container goes or where the stock is held up. Every information is transparent. So everybody's computer, one copy will be there. It is not server technique. In the server, we will be keeping all the records and all the information. If the server fails, if the server is slow, we will not be able to get the information. But now at the present technology, but in the blockchain technology, each computer will be working as a server. Each person who is the member of the blockchain will get a copy of the data or copy of the information which is being transported. So here the blockchain can help you to locate, to find out where the stock is moving and at which stage it is there. So everything is information is available. But in the logistics, what is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is payment. So you will supply the goods, but money should come in time to the supplier. Supplier has to get back the money. Supplier has to be guaranteed with the money. So that is possible in the blockchain. Another thing is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is also coming to the picture now. Suppose if you ship some goods which are not demanded by a supplier, your software must warn you, hey, this supplier will never ask this type of goods, why do you send it there? So it will trigger a caution. So you verify again, and if he really demands, you send it. And if he doesn't send it, doesn't demand, don't send it. So that is artificial intelligence. So without IT support, now logistics and the shipping will be impossible to do efficient transportation of goods. For efficiency and also for bringing down the cost, definitely IT support is the backbone. No IT support cannot be done anything. So IT support is very much essential, especially this blockchain, artificial intelligence. So these two things. So again, another thing I wanted to emphasize is this non-value adding activity of storekeeping. Storekeeping is totally removed. Why? Because now just-in-time inventory is coming. And one more thing, vendor managed inventory. Vendor managed inventory means vendor will manage your inventory. And as the first speaker spoke about the kitchen, mom is in the kitchen, mom only knows how much rice is there, how much salt is there. Tomorrow I have to buy salt, tomorrow I have to buy rice, like that she will be thinking. But suppose if the grocery storekeeper, suppose if he manages your inventory, how it would be nice. When in our house, in the kitchen, if the rice exhausts, immediately the vendor computer will trigger. So that fellow will send the rice to your house. Ma'am, rice is exhausted in your house, please take the bag. Like that. So just in time and also at minimum cost, and you pay the services. So like this, everything is now changing very fast. with the computer and the ICT support. Without ICT support, nothing is possible, especially this blockchain and the artificial intelligence. The students who have some small knowledge is not so well, you need not be so well versed in these areas. First, you have some beginning idea or the basic idea, and then you go and join the industry. The industry people will train you. They will give training. They will be telling you how to do, what to do, so that you can pick up from there. First, start joining the shipping or join the logistic industry with small salary. Don't worry about the salary. And even if it is 1,000, 2,000 ringgits, it's enough. You first join, get the training for 2 years. Be in the industry for 2 years. Then your salary, you can fix the salary. The industry will not fix your salary. Remember that.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful.
So with this small talk, is there anything you want to discuss?
Yes, sir. I would like to ask you a few quick questions, sir.
Please.
Sir, if anybody wants to prepare themselves for an interview, like what might be the general questions which the interviewer might ask, or can you tell me like some suggestions, tips to prepare for attending a logistics interview, sir?
Interview, when you go, see the interview, if you ask me what I expect from you, I don't expect anything without right attitude. Right attitude alone is enough. If you have the right attitude, you will learn everything, you will be knowing, you will have discipline, you will know definitely. And more, another thing, don't demand very high salary while joining. Salary level might be low. Accept it. Entry point is very important. The questions will be coming, they will be asking something about this level only. What is meant by just-in-time inventory? What is vendor managed inventory? Do you know what is meant by cost reduction, cost control, just-in-time? All these things they will be asking, blah, 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 blah. You have some minimum knowledge, that's all. You need not prepare very big things, and you need not show any artificial intelligence knowledge or blockchain knowledge. But be mindful, it is coming. Without that, you cannot survive in the industry. So learn the basic things and go inside. If even question comes, you just tell them, I know little bit, but I don't have any experience, but I will learn. Definitely I will learn. Like that, if you give them positive attitude, positive comments, definitely they will hire you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, how important is training or education in the field of logistics and supply chain or shipping management important in finding a job, sir?
Mean training,
Yes, sir. Training or education required because maybe like let us say a person without any knowledge can join, but he will be on a very low scale. But let us assume that a person who is well trained, who is well educated in this particular field, how competitive can he be in the industry, sir?
See, the industry requires various types of people. Not only accountants, not only technocrats, not only ICT people, not only these loaders and unloaders. Everybody is needed in different proportion in different companies. The players will take different type of people for different type of work. So we have a lot of chances, not only for engineers, not only for accountants, not only for the loading, unloading people, lorry drivers. Everybody is needed. So if you have 2 or 3 skills, multi-skilling people means definitely they will choose. Formerly, driver means only I know driving, I don't know anything like that, that fellow will say. But now, multi-skilling people, you should know driving, and also you should help in loading, unloading, so everything you should do. Accountant should not say, I know only debit and credit. Accountant should know debit, credit, and also management advisor. He should be a management advisor supplying information. That is additional management accountant we call. And also in the strategic decision making, these people, these accountants should give their inputs, very valuable inputs they should give. Accountants means it's not keeping only the financial accounting. Financial accounting nowadays software taking care of that. What is your job then, accountant? Accountant should supply information to the board of directors to make right decisions at the right time. So that strategic management decisions, they will be asking for a lot of information, because nowadays management is information based. It is not just like grandfather. Grandfather will be managing the business by just seeing the people, and they will be he will be doing that. But now information based. So information, everybody should know how to take the information out of the system, and also where to get the information, and how to organize the information so that others can understand. Organizing the information is very, very important. And moreover, formerly there were only structured data. Structured data means debit, credit, like that, it will be there. But now a lot of unstructured data is coming. Unstructured data means everything is mixed, very complex. There is no order in that data. So from that, you should mine the data mining. You should get the right data, right information somehow. That is where your knowledge plays a role. So these things, there is no particular training, there is no specific training for this. Intelligence, and then this overall attitude, helping attitude to the management. And you should never say, hey, 5:30, I am going home, you take care of, like that. Cannot go. Till 11 p.m. also sometimes you have to work. So like this, the attitude is the first thing any person who want to join a job should learn.
Wonderful, sir.
Next.
So thank you for your valuable time and sharing various data as to how the GDP of Malaysia is working, what are the job opportunities in Malaysia, and how it is there in neighboring countries of Malaysia too. So I hope, coming to the end of day 1 session, I hope all the participants would have got a rough idea. We had a speaker from UAE, we had a speaker from Morocco, we had a speaker from India, and we have a speaker from Malaysia. All of them have briefed one thing, one very clear information to all of us. That is, the logistics and shipping industry is wide. There is a lot of scope, lot of opportunities across the world, and how it is going to grow in the future. It has been mentioned very clearly. So there's a bright future in that particular avenue. If you are very interested, you can learn more about it. So once again, I would like to thank all the participants for taking part in this program. And tomorrow we are having a new set of speakers who will be joining with us, who will be sharing various inputs about logistics and shipping management from their country, and how you could get into the industry, how you could start your career opportunities and grow your knowledge about that particular industry. So once again, on behalf of Tamil Nadu Advanced Technical Training Institute and Amrit University, I wish you a warm evening, and looking forward to see you all tomorrow. Let's rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
To all the participants, please fill up the feedback form, please. All those who fill the feedback forms will get e-certificate on the day of completion of the program. Once again, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Looking forward to see you all tomorrow. The feedback link is sent in the chat box. Please check the chat box. Kindly fill up the feedback forms in order to receive the e-certificate.